Hi, I'm Jerry Waite, and I'm here to talk to you about the history of the digital media program and how it came to be what it is today. Back in the late 1980s and 1990s, one of the things that happened is the Texas Printing Education Foundation was formed by the Houston Litho Club and the printing industries of the Gulf Coast, and their task was to help a university begin a program to prepare people for the printing industry in terms of management. So by 1993, they had convinced the University of Houston to begin a program in graphic communications technology, and they asked me to come from Los Angeles, where I was a high school teacher of graphic communications, and start this program. So I did, and it was a very robust time for the printing industry, because between the 1993 era and 1999, there was an awful lot of printing going on. But at the same time, there was this little thing that was starting to develop, and that was the internet. And it looked to me like one of the things that we should do would be to combine the efforts of print plus the other technologies. And it was very hard to convince anybody that this was the right thing to do. In fact, I brought it up to our advisory committee, and our advisory committee chair at the time went to our dean and said that if I were to do anything other than print management, that they would pull all support from the university. It was kind of a closed-minded sort of thing. But then, of course, 9/11 occurred, the Y2K bug was solved, etc. And all of a sudden, the print industry didn't have quite as much headway as it had before. And we started losing ground to the internet, and Amazon and other things came on board. So I tried again to get people interested in doing something that was multimedia or convergent media or integrated media or some such thing. And by 2006, 2007, the people in the printing industry realized that they had to actually adopt the new technologies, or they were going to die. So we then prepared a program that we didn't know what to call at the time, but we knew that it had to bridge the gap between the electronic media and print media. We knew from the very beginning that the idea of this program was to get the right message to the right person at the right time with the right media. So as we built this program, and when I say we, I'm talking about Professor Monica Alters and myself. So as we were looking into names for the program, we came across the term digital media, which was a newfangled area of study. And digital media actually had a definition, and that definition was the creative convergence of digital art, science, technology, and business, which is exactly what we were trying to do. So we christened the program Digital Media and sent it through the various channels of the university and to the Texas Higher Education Coordinating Board, and we got our permission to start our first classes in 2009. So in 2009, we had 6 students, and in 2018, where we are today, it's almost 700. I don't know the math there, but it's more than 1,600% growth rate. Every year, we have 10 or more percent growth, and it's actually becoming one of the largest programs of its kind in the United States. We are accredited, and there's only 13 programs accredited in the country, and we are the largest of the accredited programs. With 700 students. Now, these students that we have are truly taking a convergent program, in that all of them take classes in computer graphics, in web design, in digital photography and digital asset management, in computer graphics, in graphic design and page layout, videography, etc. And so they take this core, which we believe is the very important part of getting rid of the silos between the different media. Then they also take a series of classes in management and sales, And then later on in their curriculums in the junior year, they get to choose one area to study a little bit more in depth. But out of an entire degree plan of 120 hours, the area that they study in depth is only 12 hours. So it's only 10% of their program. The majority of this program is the convergent media. The next thing that I'd like to mention to you is what makes us special. And there are really 3 courses that I would like to mention to you that are very special in this program. One of them is Digital Media 3325, and that course is basically a data mining class for our students. Remember, I told you that the purpose of this program is to get the right message to the right person at the right time with the right media. And in order to get the right message to the right person, you have to mine data. So one of our professors, Mark Hargrove, worked with an industry guru by the name of Sid Chadwick, and they came up with a series of scenarios where our students actually go to open source databases that are available in most any university or public library, and they come up with answers. Like, for example, to whom should I market this particular product? That's one very important class. Another one that I would ask Phil Snyder to talk to you about is our Transmedia class. Transmedia is when you take a message and you divide it up into multiple different media and send a different part of the big message through each of the media. This, I think, is essential, and it's where the Postal Service and all of the direct mail come into very important play, because it's not enough to just have a printed piece. It's not enough just to have a website. You need the combination, and that's why I think our Transmedia class is so important. And Phil will tell you more about that. And the last class I'd like to talk to you about is Digital Media 3351. Historically, this class has been a pre-press class in which people have learned how to take images and prepare them for print reproduction. Well, we still do that in this class, but we look at how we can add to those print pieces convergent media, how we can engage the consumer in some way. So we're adding augmented reality to our printed pieces. We're adding QR codes and other methods of engaging the audience with the message. And to help this out, we have XMPie software, which will allow us to do personalization of both print media, web media, and also it looks like convergent media across different platforms. So digital media is really about all of these different things. It's truly unique. Most of the programs that I see in the United States focus either on print or on something else. So what we're really trying to do with digital media is to make sure that our students get away from silos, that they can use all of the media, because our customers are not really interested in what media is used, but rather they want return on investment. They want their product sold, they want their message to get across, and that's what we're all about in digital media.
Hi, I'm Phil Snyder. I'm an instructional associate professor here at the University of Houston Sugar Land in the digital media program, part of the College of Technology. And as Dr. Waite alluded to, I'm going to tell you a little bit about what transmedia is. You know, he was talking a lot about the convergence of different media, and it just has come to the point where there needs to be sort of an umbrella term for all these converging technologies, digital, analog, live events and things like that. And that's really what transmedia has become. About 4 years ago, Dr. Waite asked me to develop a new course on transmedia. And really it's transmedia storytelling, but it's also transmedia marketing. And the idea here is that you have three platforms, three different delivery platforms as a minimum to tell a whole story. So in order to get the entire story, you have to consume the content of the three different platforms. So one platform might be the internet, another platform might be a graphic novel or in the form of a PDF, and another platform might be music or might be animation. So there should be minimal overlap between those three platforms, but in order, like I said, to get the whole story, you have to consume at least those three platforms' content. And of course, the number of platforms is really unlimited and is only limited by the technology or by the development of the different platforms. So a good example of the transmedia delivery would be, well, you can go back in history, and arguably Walt Disney was the first transmedia storyteller. Now, the books that he used, usually fairy tales, that kind of thing, were developed before. And so he took these books and then developed motion pictures out of them. From then, he went into developing Disneyland, which was another way of telling those stories, a kind of an immersive live action sort of thing with the rides and the themes. And in order to develop and raise money, in order to get the awareness out there of Disneyland that he was in the process of building, he made a deal with ABC. And they created, appropriately, the television show called Disneyland. And so he hosted it. He didn't want to originally, but he did anyway because it got the great ratings. And so they told the story of Disneyland using the characters from the different movies, which again were created from the different books. And so now you have television. So you have these multiple platforms coming together to tell these different stories with a minimal overlap. And then, of course, over the years, it developed into other things, other delivery platforms, such as graphic novels, live events, musicals, things like that. Now, another great example of multi-platform or transmedia storytelling would be Star Wars. Star Wars started out as a feature film and then developed into other feature films, graphic novels, other books, live events, animation, all kinds of delivery platforms online. In fact, a whole universe has developed out of the Star Wars saga, and it is really enhanced. This is something that should not be overlooked or forgotten, is the fan feedback that you get. Star Wars has had so many fans that have developed their own videos, their own books, their own artwork, and so on and so forth. And that, again, is part of transmedia. And now there's another Professor Snyder here in the digital media program. Just happens to be my wife, Karen Snyder, who really, in my estimation, is the true guru of transmedia. And she's going to tell you a few things about it.
Greetings, I'm Karen Snyder, adjunct professor here at the University of Houston, and I get to teach students about transmedia, especially when used in marketing purposes. As an example, one of the case studies I like to review with them is that of Gamers of Houston. For Gamers of Houston, our goal was to encourage government officials to actively support the video game industry so that technology and media jobs could be created here in Houston. Well, how do you capture and retain government officials' attention? That's not easy. They act like executives, they're very busy, they don't necessarily want to be pestered for one more thing. In this case, what we did is we broke up the story of what we were seeking to do into several different media presentations. One of them is the website, so that government officials could go there and find out about all the different citizens and the stories and cases of what they were doing in the community as they were building out different video game studios, projects, or different ways of engaging that audience. And then I also went and I filmed 54 different interviews throughout the city so that we could create little snippets that were used for an in-presentation luncheon that was created, as well as so that they could also see more online if they so chose. And then last, I created an economic impact report, which I'd never done one before. It's a lot of work, but in that, it was very visual. It was a magazine style with a lot of engagements, again, with stories direct from the community so that they could hear for themselves what the needs of the citizens are and ways that they could engage with them. And this way, if they wanted, they could go through all the pieces and get all the story, or if they're very busy, they can just grab parts of it. So in that particular instance, you'll notice that we engaged print, we engaged an in-person luncheon, we engaged a website, and we engaged video. So more than 3 platforms, and each of them are adding to the story. And that's the gist of what transmedia is. So certainly from a print angle and a mailing angle, this is still an inherent part of reaching a target audience, engaging with them, and telling the story.